the world is unrest, when people are threat for the security, I don't think so Buddhists have to close the door and windows, only meditate. We have to participate, we have to collaborate, we have to contribute to not only outer peace, even for the inner peace.
We are from 61 countries and regions. It is the biggest Buddhist gathering of the year. Before the UN resolution in 1999, it was not possible for all the Buddhists of Theravada, Mahayana and Vajrayana to celebrate together in this manner, because different traditions have different way of celebrating.
Every time, when we go to the conference, it's kind of a self-education. You learn from other people a lot, like kind of, brainstorming. And at the same time, you also feel like, this is what I think, and I would like to share with other people.
So this evening we are from all over the world to join us for the first Buddhist conference, International Buddhist Conference, to celebrate the International Day of Vesak. The objective that the International Organizing Committee has set for this event is on the topic of the Buddhist contribution to good governance and development.
The Buddhist, for example, a special theme here, good governance and development. Buddhists, how they are going to contribute? They are not going to enter the politics. At least they can suggest, they can urge and appeal to the authorities to govern a country with respecting basic human rights. That means we have still to something to contribute from Buddhism, that today the world is completely paralyzed by this all kind of difficulties.
So representing Uganda Buddhist Center, probably most people don't know whether even Uganda is. It's in East Africa. And at the moment we have 14 Ugandans, 14 local Ugandans who are Buddhist. And I started this center in 2005. People think that's a small number, but I think it's a big number. So I'm the only one monk in Uganda. I'm here in front of you, calling my brothers and sisters to join hands and spreading the Dhamma in Africa.
As you asked me about the contribution of Buddhism on good governance and leadership, I think in African context this is very relevant, because most of the leadership, at least to my knowledge in Africa, is motivated by greed. A lot of corruption and all this is just because of greed, hatred and delusion, and out of fear. Those three factors, they are affecting most of the leadership in Africa.
Bad governance is when you have use authority without consultation with others, without participation. And there is no transparency in bad governance. So if we want to apply Buddhist values in this field, it means what type of the Buddha teaching. Encourage people to be open-minded, try to understand other people, to welcome the cooperation from other people, that is friendliness, friendship, are more important than your selfishness.
I think the most important is to deal with the individual's mind. If more people are more peaceful inside, then start from the family, the community, and a nation. I think that now we are in Thailand, and this is a Buddhist country. You can sense that people are very polite, relatively more friendly, and it's because they apply this Buddhist value, into their daily life.
The generosity of the Thai people, this has been taught in our Thailand for the last 7 centuries, since the foundation of Sukhothai Kingdom. The monks have preached lay people to practice 3 virtues. Number 1 is charity. Number 2 is to observe precept, that is not to harm other people, not to hurt anyone. And the third one is mental development. And for charity to be practiced, it means you must have loving kindness and compassion in your mind, forgive and forget. That's why Thailand is known as land of smile, due to Buddhist value implanted in our mentality. Thai culture is based on mindfulness. You can see from our cultural show, Thai dance is quite slow, very slow, and you have to tune to the rhythm of the music. That means the dancer have to be aware of every sound of the music, and their movement must be in conjunction with each sound of the music. Mindfulness must be there. If you dance in a disco dance, how can you develop your mindfulness there? You lost in the rhythm of the music and forget yourself. You cannot detect the movement of your body.
As part of my family background, I'm fortunate to have 2 very wonderful uncles who are twins and managers of His Majesty's household. And of course, the tradition of leadership is always emphasized the good governance as it relates to self-sufficiency for a rural agrarian-based society. He has transitioned what the 18th century absolute monarchies, perhaps mindset about the king being a Deva Raja, in the Indian pantheon of the gods who are very high up there, inaccessible, through many incredible projects that are Buddhistic in spirit.
The world can learn from the king of Thailand. He became beloved king. He became the emperor of Thai people, not because of his authority, of power. But, it is not the power of thought, but it is the power of love and compassion. He cared for his own people. He traveled to every corner of the country and initiated 3,000 development projects.
We heard a very fine talk by a monk at the beginning of this very conference about what the Thai government did in the mid-1970s when they had a communist rebellion in part of the country. And bright, courageous young men from the villages in a very poor part of the country were all arming themselves, taking to the jungle, shooting soldiers and other representatives of the central government. And what the Thai government did was not to allow any retaliation whatsoever. Even when soldiers were killed, ambushed or whatever, they allowed no retaliation. There was a total amnesty for anyone who gave up their arms, and they were not merely forgiven, and they were not given a criminal record, but they were offered good government jobs because it was recognized that these were very enterprising individuals. And 2 of them rose to be ministers in the government.
In a conflict like the one between the United States of America and Iraq, we see that our leaders believe more in the power of the bomb than the spiritual power of the precept. Terrorism is born from hate, from anger, from wrong perceptions. Wrong perceptions about oneself and wrong perceptions about the other person, the other nation, the other religion. In order to uproot terrorism, we have to practice true dialogue, deep listening, compassionate listening, and loving speech in order to help the other person who suffer to have a chance to express himself or herself as why they have conducted like that.
I mean, the whole idea that in order to combat terrorism or aggression, you must simply have better terrorism and bigger aggression is, of course, a diametrically opposite view to that held by Buddhism. And we think, and I here associate myself with Buddhists and so on, that the policy of the West, which is policy of basically of revenge or showing that you're stronger than the other person, is absolutely catastrophic. Never mind what it's like morally, it just is a practical disaster.
Most people in Africa, they say, oh, we are poor, we hate each other because of our colonial masters. This is what at least this is what I get. People say, oh, you know, they told us to hate each other. We don't have enough money because they don't give us enough money from Europe. We don't have this. Always they accuse their position of poor politics, poor economic and social. They accuse the external forces. They don't see themselves working from the inside themselves. So I think these Buddhist principles will contribute a lot to the good governance and leadership in Africa.
I remember in the retreat we offer for congressmen in Washington, D.C., I proposed 4 steps for political leaders to follow. The first step is to go back to yourself and take care of yourself as a political leaders. Because you may have been motivated by the desire to succeed in your political career. That is why you have neglected yourself completely. If you know how to practice according to that teaching, you'll be able to release tension in your body, embrace your feeling, transform your feeling. And if you can do that, you suffer much less. You can smile, you are happy now, and you can take the second step. The second step is to go back to your family and restore good communication and harmony in your family. If you are not happy as an individual, if you are not happy as a family, how can you serve us, the people and the nation? The third step, when you are already a happy person, a happy family, you can bring the practice to your corporation, to your government, to your party. You have something to offer. You have a spiritual path. And you would like to help the people in the same cabinet, the same parliament, the same corporation to do like you so that they could suffer less.
This year, I visited Indonesia to encourage them to join us. 8 colleges from Indonesia. I visited Budapest to encourage them, to come and join this wayside. I visited Tibetan universities. I visited Korea. So I can say it's a personal satisfaction, a hard work of 1 year. Because my doctoral thesis is on Buddhist education.
There's been a great tendency, due to history and nationalism, for Buddhist universities in one country to have no idea about Buddhist universities in another. Very often they don't even know they exist, let alone how they operate. And it would be very much to their benefit if they knew more about each other, so that they could exchange staff and administrators who would learn about what we in the West call best practice, and therefore at least raise the standards of some of the less good ones.
My university is a Sangha University or Monks University. Was established about 120 years ago by King Chulalongkorn. The purpose of the foundation was to provide modern education to Thai monks about a century ago. But it would not be possible at that time. So we wait till 60 years ago. We arranged the modern system of education in the university system. And up to now, we have about 10,000 Buddhist monks studying in our university throughout the country, and we have branches in Taiwan and South Korea.
For a university funded by Buddhism, I think the value is you can bring a Buddhist principle into their profession. So it may be for regular university, they train students like for job, but for a Buddhist university, I think it's to train students for life, how to live, and it's the provide the education of what we call the whole person, kind of holistic education for a person, not just for the job.
One of the things that I think Buddhism in particular brings to any educational curriculum is that its principles of education are independent of subject matter. So that I believe it's possible to teach mathematics, physics, chemistry, literature from a contemplative point of view, because it has to do with how the teacher engages the students, responds to them mindfully, compassionately, full of peace in his or her own being.
They even start a project that like going out to help the people in distress, like the tsunami victims that we have done, or go up to the Hill tribe area in the north to stay there after their graduation. Every year about 40 monks volunteer to live with the Hill tribe people on the top of the mountains and teach Buddhism and the Thai language to them. So this is a way to train our mind to think of other people and for the sake of other people. That is the aim of dissemination of the Buddha's teaching for the benefit and happiness of other people.
The 2 years master program in psychology and mindfulness require people to meditate. They have to do 5 days of meditation over 2 years. They will be studying also some Buddhist scriptures. Of course, a lot of Western psychology, mostly cognitive psychology. So this is the practice that we bring in. We recommend people to do meditation, to visit living Buddhist masters, to learn from them, and to learn it as a part of the academic training.
So right now, the modern psychology also try to collaborate with the Buddhism now. You can say, Buddhism is really a science of mind. Maybe the method is different because Buddhism is started from the approach to inner, and modern science try to be more objective. But I don't see that you need to just put it as a dichotomy. Like, okay, the modern science is just for outside world, and then the Buddhism is for the inside. I think that both of them can bring together and to discover, what is the mind. The more we know ourselves, I think that we will understand what's going on this world as well.
The thought is that I think that Buddhism, by its very nature, has a cultural life that doesn't depend upon the vocabulary of religion, but one can come at it in terms of literature, in terms of the graphic arts, that I think in some ways are much more accessible to a broader public than some of the more textual, institutional understandings of what Buddhism is.
I think that the Buddhist religion should serve for humankind, and not the humankind have to sacrifice for a religion or an institute. The Buddha said, look at it, my teaching just like the fingers point to the moon. You have to see the moon, not stick it to my fingers. So all the religions are supposed to help us to pursue the truth, to look at the truth. I think the people on the path of religion should know their final goal is to find out the truth, not the religion itself, and like stick it to the finger and fight with each other. I hope that we can beyond religion and to see the moon.
It's a full circle now that I am serving the IOC and watching the leadership of Dhammasami in pulling together this exciting Buddhist University Association, and I feel that a value added and contribution that this organization can make, not only to U.S. university, but all levels of educational institutions in preparing future leadership all through the world.
So over the year, I have been doing confidence building in this institution. I feel very pleased that everybody looks very confident and very competent too. So now we have the International Association of Buddhist Universities. But the hard work just begins.
This is a very important moment because they're going to sign the Bangkok Declarations.
We, the participants from 61 countries and regions, have unanimously resolved the following: to further enhance cooperation between all schools of Buddhism, to strengthen unity and solidarity among Buddhists. Number 2, to acknowledge the generosity of it is international involved and it has been an international event prepared by the International Organizing Committee.
I think this is the biggest gathering I've ever been, to have all the venerable people, monks and representatives from all different world. I think it has been wonderful and reassuring, because in Uganda, where I'm going back now to finish tie loose ends in the temple there. So it has been challenging, and after here, I feel refreshed that I'm not alone in the propagation of Boeddhisme.
I remember last time when Thai magazine interviewed me, the journalist asked me this question: what is your message for everyone now? If you have a message, and I said, go back and take care of yourself.
Wilt u naar aanleiding van deze uitzending reageren of een gratis programmagids bestellen? Bezoek dan onze website boeddhistischeomroep.nl. DVD's van onze programma's kunt u bestellen op 010 411 3977.